As more consumers rely on natural gas for their energy needs, there's a push for more capacity in the pipelines and more concern about safety. That's the reason for a closer look at the problem with leaks requested by our guest. We'd like to welcome the District City Councilor for Jamaica Plain and West Roxbury, Matt O'Malley. Thank you very much for being with us, Matt.
Always great to be with you, Chris.
And it's you and Councilor Zakem who are pushing for this, so what got you going on it?
So it was actually something I've been studying for quite some time. As you know, we're dealing with the proposed West Roxbury lateral of the Algonquin pipeline in the West Roxbury part of my district. A project I don't support, a project that is slated to build a transfer meter and regulating station directly across the street from an active quarry, which seems to defy all common sense in my estimation. And the argument that the pro-pipeline conglomerate is making is that we need it. There are houses, there are whole swaths and sections of the city that don't have access to the same level of natural gas. And coupled with the fact that we have such an incredible problem with these leaks makes me think that we could actually address the scarcity while fixing some of the old infrastructure that already exists. Additionally, a group called Mothers Out Front for Justice and Equality reached out to myself and Councilor Zakem as well. I believe they're meeting with all the councilors to address this very issue. There's some good work being proposed at the state level, but we think that this is something Boston can really lead in and address. There are 3,300, even the most conservative estimate has the total at about 3,300 gas leaks, which is obviously a public safety as well as a public health and a public matter for all ratepayers who are absorbing the cost to the tune of about $90 million per year.
I've seen a map on this put up by the Conservation Law Foundation, and there are so many indicators of leaks, and you say, well, nothing has happened in most of these places, but I guess there have been at least a few places where some bad things.
They have fixed some, and in fact, after I proposed this, a constituent from Jamaica Plain came to my office hours and explained that she smelt it so strongly that she called. To their credit, the utilities sent a car out, and they designated a code 1. They evacuated a couple houses, and they were able to fix it. But they're doing it piecemeal right now, and it shouldn't get to that point. We know where these leaks are. We've seen incredible mapping of them. We know that they can be a danger. We've seen houses literally blow up, not regularly. I don't want to overstate the threat, but it could be a real threat. And the mere fact that natural gas released into the atmosphere is 86 times more harmful than carbon dioxide over a 20-year period. So this is something that is affecting trees, is affecting other infrastructure. And as I said, it ought to be the responsibility of the utility to fix it, to provide that safeguard, as well as the cost to the ratepayer.
I think of utilities as mainly being regulated by the state or even the federal government. So what can the City Council do here?
Well, I think what we hope to do, and I believe we can do, is convene all the relevant stakeholders, those from National Grid, the other utilities as well, to come and explain what the plan is, what their identification process is, how they can fix it, and work better with us. You know, we have to open our streets fairly regularly for Boston Water and Sewer Commission, for an example, and I know that they work well with the utilities. Maybe it's us working together to come up with a plan. Obviously, if there are more dangerous leaks or more prevalent leaks, they should be prioritized, of course. But really work better together so that we can address these things.
I imagine it's going to take some money if they really actually had to fix most of these leaks.
Yeah. Well, again, ratepayers are paying $90 million per year just in the city of Boston in costs associated with them. So I would argue that it makes more financial sense for the utilities to fix these than pursuing these large projects like the pipeline. Ultimately, I'd want to see a renewed focus on alternative energy sources like solar, like wind. Fact of the matter is, many people, most Bostonians use natural gas. I certainly use it in the condo I live in, but we want to make sure that as ratepayers we're not being ripped off, and as environmentalists and public health advocates we're addressing the myriad concerns that are associated with it.
I want to ask you about another topic, and this is about the Olympics.
Sure.
The City Council was pressing for more information. We ended up with the mayor and the governor not having all the information they needed.
Yeah.
So do you think it was worthwhile for the council to make that push?
Without question. I think the council showed enormous leadership in this debate, and I want to specifically mention Councilor Jackson, Tito Jackson, who led the fight, which I supported, to subpoena bid 1.0, as well as Councilor Zakem, who put forth a non-binding referenda potentially for this fall's municipal election. I supported that as well. It was unsurprising when the bid was initially dropped. I think tremendous credit has to go to the army of grassroots activists who explained real concern and were able to organize around this issue, and I think the council played a role in making sure that some of us made sure that we were able to address those concerns, and it began as a worthwhile endeavor to look at a plan for the future of the city of Boston, and I hope that we're able to still focus on those issues. You know, one of the most compelling arguments from the pro-Olympics force was that we can use this as a catalyst to address infrastructure, transportation, housing. An equally compelling argument from the anti-Olympics folks was we shouldn't need the Olympics to address infrastructure, transportation, housing. Let's take that energy, the incredible activists on both sides of this issue, and really focus for the next decade plus.
Now, I've seen reports out there characterizing at least the very active vocal opposition to this as basically a fringe element, but what were you hearing?
I don't think it's a fair characterization. I think these were people who felt very strongly about this city. You know, others would argue that our ambivalence or our resistance to the Olympics shows a Boston notion of not wanting change. I think nothing could be further from the truth. I think the opposition was really organized around the fact that we love this city and we want to see it do well and thrive and not lose these opportunities that otherwise we could have absent the Olympics. It was a clear David versus Goliath story, and David prevailed.
A little more time here for one more item.
Sure.
The pay raise. There's a recommendation for something under $10,000, which is smaller than what some councilors wanted last year. What do you think?
So I haven't read the report yet. The first literally I heard about this was reading the Globe this morning. I voted against the first pay raise. That was a $20,000 or so pay raise that was put forth by Council President Linehan last year as what I thought was a smart alternative. Councilor Ayanna Pressley and I put forth a pay raise that was determined by the median income of Bostonians over the same period. This is what the state legislature does, and I forget what the exact figure was, but it was closer to this. It was certainly under $100,000. I see my job as an incredible opportunity, something I'm lucky to serve. We're not in this, and we ought not be in this for the money. Wait and see what the report says, what the mayor has to say, but you know, people shouldn't get into public service to make money. It's about serving the communities that we know.
By the way, anything on the calendar coming up about maybe action on the gas leaks investigation?
So September 21st is our hearing. We purposely want to do it after the summer, and we'll be organizing around that. It's been very helpful to just hear from the number of people who have had gas leaks, have experienced it, who are very concerned about this. So I think we'll have a terrific turnout.
Great. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
City Councilor Matt O'Malley. Up ahead, a candidate for district councilor in Mattapan and Dorchester.